All right, so let's look at the bottom part. The bottom part says that we're going to find the amplitude. So let's review this from yesterday. Do you remember what the amplitude formula was to find it? Very good. So which one do you want me to do? 7 through 12. Which one? Doesn't matter? 9? 7? Yeah, just pick one. 9 is okay? Okay. Alright, so let's see. Amplitude is equal to half the maximum. So what's the highest point? So right here it gives us a number. So what are your y values counting by if 2 is right here? They're counting by 1s because there's one line right here, 1 and then 2. Okay, so that means these are counting by 1 and then 2. So the highest peak of all of these is where? 2. And then we're going to subtract. The lowest peak on all of these is 0. All right, subtract those and you get 2. Take half of that and you get 1. And that's it. That okay? All right, see if you can do 7 through 12 then. Try those 7 through 12 on those. Even 8. You can see 8. Hand is right there. Got it. What's happening? Alright guys, 7 you should have gotten 4, 8 you should have gotten 3. Y'all okay on those? And then let's slide this up so y'all can see the other ones. One second. Alright, 10 you should have gotten 2. And 11 you should have gotten 3. And then Oscar's going to number 12 right now for us. Check your answers, make sure you're okay on all this. It's pretty easy stuff, right? Alright, let me move this over so y'all can see Oscar's answer. And he got 2.5, okay? 2.5 was the answer. Y'all good with this stuff? Pretty easy, right? You got it good? Alright, let's move on to your cheat sheet page, because we're learning something new. And I gave you a cheat sheet page. Let's see. Let me figure out what page it was on. I can't remember. Alright, so you need some extra practice. There's 3 of them right there that you can find the amplitude. You can find the period. You can find if it's periodic or not periodic. And you can find one cycle, okay? So if you need some extra practice on this stuff, that's page 3. Y'all okay? All right. What's wrong? I know, the copy, look, I waited 2 days to make the copies, and it still wasn't fixed, and it just got fixed today. So that's why your quizzes were page 5. All right, look at page 5. Let me blow this out a little bit so y'all can see it. This is your cheat sheet page, okay? Make it your best friend. This is your cheat sheet page. We are going to learn how to graph sine and cosine graphs. Okay, so if you remember from yesterday, sine and cosine graphs were what in real life? In real life, like what were they? Huh?
Sound.
It's sound waves, right? What were you saying? Oh, they're sound waves, right? There's a lot more than that. If you ever seen like architecture where they have like the big round arches, or if you've seen like the really big bridges that have the huge arches in the middle of them, do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That's you have to use trig to be able to figure out that stuff. That's engineering, okay? Musicians are sound waves. So if you want to be some kind of audio technician, which they make pretty good money because there's a lot of stuff that they can do. So that's sound wave. That's sine and cosine stuff. Y'all okay with everything? This is your cheat sheet. Keep this handy. Okay, I know it says page 5, but you might want to keep this handy somewhere, okay? Does that make sense? All right, let's flip to page 7. We're going to kind of flip-flop around a little bit today. So we are going to explore, and keep this handy, okay? Keep this page handy. So let's look at this. Let's remember, oh my gosh, we just took a quiz today. And if we are doing, let me zoom this in so y'all can see it. What number are we going to plug in first? Does it tell us on that little chart? 0. So what is the sign of 0? 0. Very nice. Okay, pi over 2 was at 90. So what was the sign of 90? Sign of pi over 2? At 90? It's 1. Very good. Y'all were saying all kinds of craziness.
Gracie said 1 and I went
wrong. I didn't hear you. Whoa, 1 is not a 1. I can't understand that. All right. So, all right, this one, pi is 180. So what's the sign of 180 or pi? 0. Look at you. You're all confident now. You're saying answers. A minute ago, you were like, 1. Okay, 3 pi over 2 is how much? Yeah, it's 270, so it's -1. Very good. And then 2 pi is back around at 360 or 0, and how much is that? 0. All right, let's graph it. Here we go. First point is 0, 0. Next point is pi over 2 and 1. Next one is, well, baby? No, you don't have to. You can if you want to, though. And the next one is pi and 0. and then, bless you, and then 3 pi over 2 and -1, and then 2 pi and 0. So how many tick marks, how many places are on this graph? 4. Not how many points, how many tick marks, how many places? There's 4, right? How many points did we plot? 5. Okay, so if there are 4 tick marks, then what is the period of a sine graph? Remember, period was the length that it took to make one cycle. 4. Very good. So the period of a sine graph would be 4, right? That's going to come in handy in just a minute. All right, here we go. We arc it up, and then we have a straight line through pi, and then we arc it down, and then we keep going, which means we put an arrow because we could draw another cycle both sides if we wanted to, okay? All right, so this arrow means that I could keep going. I could go down and then up and then down and if I wanted to, right? Y'all okay? All right, so let's go to the next one. Is the sine function periodic? So is it periodic? Yes, it is. Because this graph right here, this arrow, means that it's going to do what? It's going to go back up, which means they would have the same y values, right? So yes, it is periodic. Okay. Why?
Why?
Yes.
Because it has the same y.
Very good. Let's say it has the same pattern of y values. Can we say that? Oh, Matthew. You make life interesting, you know that?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else
No, they couldn't. Nobody else could have anybody else's brain.
yeah.
All right, so we already talked about this. What is a period, first of all, of a graph? What is a period of a graph?
Like just a section.
What kind of set? It has a pattern, that is true. So how did we find the period here was 4?
Determining how the length of.
The length of what? What's the length of one section? What's that called? What's that vocab word we used yesterday?
Period.
No, that is the period. Cycle. Very good. So a period is the length, the horizontal length of one cycle. Bless you. The horizontal length of one cycle is a period, okay? So what is the period of the sine function? 4. So the period of the sine function is 4. Y'all okay? All right, we're going to do the rest of that stuff next week, okay? So here's what we're going to do today. Find your cheat sheet. You got it? Got your cheat sheet?
Got it.
Keep it handy, and let's go over that first. Okay, so the sine curve, the graph of a sine function, right? What is the equation of one cycle? Of one cycle. Yeah. All right, we're on page 5 now. What's the formula for a sine curve? A sine B. Keep going. What's that called? Theta. Very good. All right, so yesterday we talked about the amplitude. Amplitude starts with an A, right? Doesn't that make sense why it has an A at its very beginning? All right, yesterday we talked about the amplitude was the same thing as what, Madison, would you tell us it was yesterday? Absolute value. Oh, my goodness, and what do they have around that A? Absolute value. That's why I was on it with Madison yesterday, and I scared Michaela because I thought Michaela had said it and all that good stuff. Are y'all okay? All right, so A is the amplitude. B is the number of cycles in an interval. In other words, B is the what? What's the number of cycles in an interval?
Period.
There you go. B is the period, if you want to write that down. And how do we determine the period? It's 2 pi over b, right? Does that make sense to everybody? That's how we determine how much it's going to go. All right, so let's go to the back of that. All right, here we go. So let's write this down. Amplitude was A. Where was the A at in the formula? The first one. Very good, Brinkley, which means my amplitude for this one would be 5. Very nice. All right. B is the number of cycles. So let's look at the number of cycles. It was right there in front of theta. What's understood to be right there in front of theta? 1. So there's only going to be 1 cycle. And the period, how did we find that? The formula for that was 2 pi over b, which in our case is 2 pi over 1, which reduces to 2 pi. All okay? Pretty easy? All right. So this is important. The parent graph that we talked about earlier, right here. How many tick marks did it have on the graph? 4, right? There you go. So we're going to have 4 little tick marks. Try your best to kind of spread them out a little bit. And how many tick marks did we have on the y-axis? 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom, right? 1 for our maximum and 1 for our minimum. Y'all okay? Pretty easy? It's going to be every single time your graph's going to look like that. Get it, got it good? All right, now, where did your sine function start every single time? 0, right? It's always going to start at 0. But we have to determine what numbers go right here, okay? So every time it's going to go 0 up to this one, and then 0 down to the minimum, and then back to 0. That's the pattern every single time, okay? Y'all okay with that? Does that make sense to everybody?
What do you mean?
Every time it's gonna start at 0, then it's gonna go up to whatever number this is. This is just for sine. Yep. This is what the whole page is. So it'd be up to this whatever this number is, down to 0 again, down to whatever this number is, and then back there. Every time that'll be the pattern. The only thing different is what numbers go right here. Okay? So let's figure out how we need to make these numbers, okay? So we know that this back number is our full period. What was the full period? How much? 2 pi. Very good. Are y'all okay with that so far? Okay, it's just like the unit circle.
Like we draw it the same every time, it's just labeling.
The labeling is what's different, okay? Alright, so here we go. You ready? It was just like the unit circle. So how did we start the unit circle? We did pi over 6. And then what was the next one? 2 pi over 6, right? And then we reduced it. And then what was the next one? 3 pi over 6. And then 4 pi over 6. And then we did pi over 3. And it was 1 pi over 3. And then 2 pi over 3. And then 3 pi over 3, right? Okay, so what are we going to divide by this time? How many tick marks did we have? 4. So you're going to take 2 pi and divide it by 4. So if you want to come down here so you can show your work, what is 2 pi divided by 4? Pi over 2. Very good. So that first tick mark is pi over 2. Doesn't that make sense? Because the unit circle, our first reference angle was 90 degrees, which was pi over 2. All right, the next one is going to be 2 times 2 pi over 4.
Whoa.
So this was 1. This is 1 times 2 pi. This is 2 times 2 pi. This is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Why would you times 2 pi?
Because remember, when we did the unit circle, it was 1 over 6, and then 2 over 6, and then 3 over 6. It's the same thing every time, I promise. Huh? You can, but when they get more difficult, you're not going to be able to do it that way. When they get to be fractions, like some of these will be. Alright, so here we go. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 divided by 4 is pi. And yes, these are easy, so you could just do half of 2 pi, but when they get more difficult, you're not going to be able to do it. Alright, what was the next one? This is 1, this is 2. What was the next one? 3 times 2 pi over 4. Every time it's divided by 4, because how many tick marks do we have? We have 4, okay? So that would be 3 pi over 2. Very good, which is 270. And the last one, if you want to check it, 4 times 2 pi over 4. The 4's cancel, and you have 2 pi. Y'all okay? All right, let's connect them. Here we go. Starts at 0, goes up, And it goes through 0, goes down, and boom, you're done. Every time. So the only thing that's different is how it's labeled. All right, let's do our y. What was our amplitude? 5. So this top one is 5, and this bottom one is negative 5. That's it. All right, so do the next one. Okay?
Wait, hey, you slow down.
Yeah, I haven't done anything.
Just a little bit.
I'm taking a break. My hand's not even on the paper. I'm sitting here just chilling, waiting on Matthew. You ready, Matthew? What are you doing?
Huh? Oh, it wasn't for me. It was for somebody else. I'm helping.
Okay, what's the amplitude on this one?
It's
1/2. Very good. How'd you get that? It's always the front number, okay? The front number is 1/2. B is the number of cycles, which is always in front of theta. Perfect. And the period is 2 pi over B, which is 1/2. Keep change flip. Very good. All right. So every time our pattern is the same. We have 1 on the y as the maximum and 1 on the y as the minimum. And then how many tick marks do we have on the x-axis? 4. Perfect. Every time, same pattern. All right, every time, same pattern. Where's the sine graph start? 0. And then it goes up to whatever this maximum is. Then it goes back to 0. Then it goes down to whatever your minimum is. And then back to 0. Same pattern every time. So if you're on a test, you can at least do that and get some partial credit, right? Yeah. All right, but most of this is I want you to make sure you can show me that you can label it correctly. So my period is 4 pi. All right, so let's find it. We do 1 times 4 pi. And every time, how many tick marks did we have? 4. So we're going to divide by 4. And that would just be pi. Yes, I know you can take 1/4 of 4, but they're not always going to be that easy. All right, the next one is 2 times 4 pi over 4, which would just be. And yes, I know you can take 1/2 of 4, but they're not always going to be that easy. I wonder what the next one could be. And just to make sure you know how to do it right, if you want to check it, especially on the more difficult ones, it's 4 times 4 pi over 4. And then you just connect them. Start at 0, go up, through 0, down. Please make sure those are curves, by the way, and not points. Those are curves. Like 2 parabolas, right? Y'all okay? Okay, I'm going to do this last one with you. And then I'm going to let you do those 3 on your own. Okay, ready? Here we go. What's the amplitude? 2. How'd you get that? Because it's the very first number. A is the first letter in the alphabet, right? So the amplitude is the first number. Number of cycles is always that number in front of theta, which is 2. Period is 2 pi divided by B, which in this case is 2 pi, which is just pi. All right. 4 tick marks on the x-axis, 1 maximum, and 1 minimum on the y-axis. All right, every time it starts at 0, and then it goes up to 1, or goes up to your maximum, goes back to 0, goes down to your minimum, and back to 0, okay? All right, so our period is pi. And how do we get the first one? We do 1 times pi divided by 4, which is just pi over 4. Then we do 2 times pi divided by 4, which is pi over 2. Then we do 3 times pi divided by 4, which is just 3/4 pi. And if you want to check the last one, 4 times pi divided by 4 is pi. Yes, ma'am. Oh gosh, we forgot to put the y-axis, didn't we? This one should be, what's the y on this one? 1/2. Thank you, Brinkley. I forgot all about labeling that, didn't I? Yes, sir. No, it's the same thing. No, it's not. It just looks different. All right, so this one would be what? 2 and -2. There you go. All right, y'all do the bottom 3 and see what you can come up with, okay? Do the bottom 3. It's the same thing, okay? It just may look a little different, okay, Matthew? It does not look a lot of different. Yes, dear.
Always 2i divided by so your period was 4 on the parent graph, so it's always been 4 marks. So every single time you always have 4 on here. So you have to divide this period of time 4 to figure out what you choose. So this is 1 third. This is 2 fourths. This is 3 fourths. This is 4 fourths, which is your total period. So if you had, let's just say you don't ever have this. Let's just say you have 5. Yeah. No, it's always absolute value. Yes. All right, don't graph yet on the first one. Just get your chart going in, okay? Do not graph yet on the first one. Already done graph. It's negative, so it's a little different. Don't graph it yet. It's still in your chart. Don't graph it yet. Go ahead. Just erase the graph. Don't graph it yet, guys. Just fill in your chart. Very good, Sydney. Very good. All right, what'd you get as your amplitude? 2. Oh, no, it's not. 2. It is 2. It is always the absolute value. So if you want to write that in, it's the absolute value of -2, which is 2. All right, what's the B? What's the number of cycles? Pi over 2. And your period is 2 pi over pi over 2. Keep, change, flip. 2 over pi. Pi's cancel. And your period is 4. So why couldn't we graph it?
Because it's different. All right, so y'all got the hang of this, right? If I did 4 divided by 4, it'd be 1. If I did 2 times 4 divided by 4, it'd be 2. 3 times 4 divided by 4 would be 3. Y'all okay with that? All right, what would be my maximum? 2. And my minimum? Perfect. Y'all okay so far? All right, now watch how this is different. You ready? Where does it always start for a sine graph? 0. But this is a -2. So it does not go up to +2 first. It's backwards, right? It would go down first, then to 0. It's just backwards, okay? It's just backwards because it's negative. Are y'all okay with that? Yeah? Is that what you're mumbling? Or no? Are we mumbling yeah or no? I can't understand. Okay. Maybe I need to get my ears fixed next. Are y'all okay? Think you can tie the last 2 by yourselves? Okay, be careful. Be careful. Tie the last 2, see what you get. Graph them and everything. Go ahead and do the last 2, graph them and everything. Just be careful. Because one's positive and one's negative.
again. So each time you have to, it doesn't, oh, it just means in the day, I know, we're going to talk about that later. I just want to get to some of that on quick hours, so the real basics of this stuff.
As you can.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Positive sequence of printed. Maybe that's last one. Two times 2 over 4, 4 over 4 is 1. 3 times, yeah,
All right, Frankie put up the first one for us. She got her amplitude was 3. Her number of cycles is 1. Her period was 2 pi, because it's 2 pi over 1, which is 2 pi. And she did an awesome job on her graph on there. Very good job. All right, if you're finished, there's 3 down there at the bottom I want you to try, okay?
Sorry.
It's the same thing. They give you the period, they give you the amplitude, and they want you to write the equation this time, okay? All right, so D is doing the last one for us. She got her amplitude is 1. Number of cycles is pi. Period is 2 pi over pi, which is 2. And she did an awesome job on her graph with making it go upside down. What about those bottom 3? You go? Did you? You did? Which one, bud? The 3 we're about to go over? Okay, let's look at them. All right. So the formula is y equals your amplitude, right? What's your amplitude? 2. Sine.
And then since it's the period pi,
Yeah.
that means that the cycle had to be 2.
How'd you get that?
Because the 2's cancel out to make pi.
All right, remember your formula for a period was 2 pi over b is equal to your period, right? Remember that? Y'all okay? All right, so it would be 2 pi over b is equal to your period is pi. All right, and then we would multiply by b and then divide by pi. And so the b would be 2. Very nice job. Okay, let's do this one. So y equals your amplitude is 5. Sine of, all right, let's figure it out. So
2 pi over b is equal to your period.
4 pi, it's gotta be 4. It's gotta be over half. So
Yeah.
you can keep checking, flipping.
Very good, very good. That's awesome. You can do that in your head. That's really good. All right, so you have 2 pi is equal to 4 pi times b divided by 4 pi. And Matthew is correct. That would be 2 over 4, which is 1/2.
Wait, 2 pi over 4?
Mm-hmm. And the pi's cancel out. And 2 over 4 reduces to 1/2.
This question,
Yes?
wouldn't it be plus or minus 5? Because the amplitude's always absolute values. So
No. The 5 tells you that it's positive, which means that you would have a maximum of 5 and a minimum of -5. You already know that. So it's redundant to write the plus and minus. All right, last one. Here we go. So y equals,
Sine.
there you go. I don't have to write the 1 because it's understood, so it's just sine.
And then if it's 2, then 2 pi cancel out.
Yeah. And you would just get,
So it's just pi. Thank
very good. And let's figure out how he did that for those of us that can't do it in our head. So your formula is 2 pi over b is equal to your period, which they gave us the period was 2, times b on both sides, divide by 2, and Matthew is correct. The b is pi. Very nice job, Matthew.
you. Goodbye.
Yes, sir.
You know Autumn?
Autumn.
One in your,
Yeah?
she got challenged with that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's not right now because we are still recording. Let's not go into that right now, please. Sydney, does that make sense, baby?
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all okay? All right. So we got about, what time we get out of here? 58? Okay. So here's what we are doing tonight. You ready? Oh, I know. It's horrible. Oh, gosh. Page 4. You ready? Page 4. All right. 1, 2, and 3 should take you a grand total of 5 seconds. That's very easy. The only thing your directions tell you to do, periodic and not periodic. That's it. Y'all okay? Okay.
But if it is, you have to find the period.
You can't see number 1, 2, and 3?
I feel like okay.
Well, we're not done yet, baby. Hold on. All right. Then we are going to do 4 and 6, because those two should be the ones you can see. This is page 4. The only thing your directions tell you to do is identify one cycle. So use your highlighter, identify one cycle, and then tell me the period, okay? And then we're going to do 7 and 10. And that's it. Find the amplitude. Bless you. It says find the period in the amplitude, but really I just want the amplitude. So just mark out that part where it says find the period. Because you're already finding the period on the other one. Y'all okay? Should not be very difficult. Should not be very difficult. Yes?